All right, well, what is something that we all want? Well, as the great Aretha Franklin once sang, we all want a little R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Yes, we do. Well, I first learned about respect right at home. I should tell you, first off, that I'm half Chinese and half German, which obviously means I have no fun genes whatsoever. I'm also first-generation Chinese, and if you know anything about Asian culture, you know there were only 2 grades in my house growing up, A and fail. And A stood for acceptable. That was expected. That was just the baseline. In fact, if I got a 99, my Chinese father would half jokingly, but not really jokingly, say, "So, what happened to the other points?" That was my first lesson in respect. Love was given. Respect, that had to be earned. I learned early on that in order to be respected, in order to feel included, in order to feel like you mattered, you had to hustle for it, work hard for it, prove it. And my experience was definitely not unique. We've all found ourselves performing for acceptance. Because if you're human, you want 3 things. You want to be loved, you want to feel included, and you want to be respected. We have been conditioned to believe that respect has to be earned through effort. That if you just attain enough, achieve enough, or succeed enough, respect will magically finally arrive. I personally have spent way too much time chasing respect. It's what drove me to finish law school in my 20s as a single mom of 3 babies. It's what drove me to build a major law practice, and more recently to reinvent my career and build a global platform. It also kept me tolerating far more than I should have. If you've ever found yourself in situations where you've stayed quiet to avoid conflict, stayed in a relationship that you know is not serving you, or just didn't speak up when your boundaries were crossed because you thought instead, well, I can fix this. I can be more perfect. I can manage myself into being acceptable, then you know exactly what I mean. Here's the paradox of respect. The more you chase it, the less of it you'll have. The moment you decide who you are, respect follows. Respect is not approval. Respect is not being accepted. Respect is what happens when, number 1, your identity is clear, and number 2, it is not negotiable. Effort signals uncertainty, and uncertainty erodes respect. You can hear uncertainty. It sounds like, maybe we should try it this way, or I'm sorry to bother you, or I could be wrong, but these words signal that your identity is not yet settled. Certainty sounds decisive, authoritative. Here's my recommendation. Based on the data, this is the conclusion. My decision is this. Respect is not earned by the pursuit of it. It's granted to certainty. That's the paradox. We think, do the work, earn the outcome, become someone who's respected. But it's actually the opposite. It's decide who you are. Show up as that person, then you influence the room. It's decided internally first, then received. Decide who you are first. When I first started my law practice, a few years ago now, I had been a lawyer for a couple of years, and then I had been in financial services for a couple of years, and then I went back to law just to start that practice. And I was so concerned, so worried, that the people in the affluent town that I was living in were going to think I was a total flake. This woman, she cannot decide what she wants. She bounces from career to career. Law, finance, back to law. Who is she? I expressed my concern to my business coach at the time, and she said something that changed everything. She said, people will think what you tell them to think. She said, you can tell them to think that you're a flake. Sure, go ahead. She said, or, just another idea, you can tell them to think that you are the only family law attorney in town that has a financial background, so therefore you're more qualified than any other attorney in town. Which story would you like to tell? And that resonated with me because it echoed something that my father used to say, which was, decide who you are, and people will believe you. Not convince, not prove. You decide. Because once you decide, people don't need proof. They feel it. So that's what I did. I decided who I was. I showed up in that identity. And within 2 years, I had the top family law practice in that town, representing some of the most powerful people in the world. People who I'm pretty sure, if you'd asked them, weren't in the market to hire a flake as their attorney. But I had to be a stand for myself first. And once you're a stand for yourself, you'll see your world reorganizes around that decision. Decide who you are first. Another fantastic example of this is in one of my favorite movies, The Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz. In that movie, there's this lovely scene, fabulous scene, where the Wicked Witch shows up and she's loud and threatening and scary. And everybody is like scared and cowering and shaking and quaking. Everybody except one person, Glinda the Good Witch. Glinda wasn't afraid. She wasn't scared. She was completely nonplussed. She didn't even flinch. She's kind of smiling, laughing a little bit. She just says, go away. You have no power here. Be gone. She was calm, quiet. That's authentic power. Authentic power commands respect. Authentic power orients the room. Decide who you are first. Second, make it non-negotiable. When I started that same law practice, I learned this lesson from an attorney mentor, friend of mine, an older guy, Dahl, from New York, an attorney who just told it like it was. I had set my hourly rate low because I was so afraid I wasn't going to get clients otherwise. And one day he stops by my office, unannounced, walks in, sits down, and he says, Rebecca, I need to talk to you about your hourly rate. I was like, okay. He said, it's too low. He said, people will think you're better if your rate is higher, not the reverse. And then he stood up and he said just 3 more words. Raise your rate. And he walked out. And in that moment, something clicked for me because I realized that raising my rate wasn't just about my identity. And it wasn't about having a high goal. this was about raising my floor and keeping it firm. A goal is something you aim for. Your floor is who you are. A goal is aspirational. Your floor, that's your identity. When your floor is shaky, people feel it. They negotiate you, test you, discount you, bargain with you. But when your floor rises and remains firm, unshakable, negotiation ends. Now let me ask each of you, where in your life has your floor been too low? Where in your life have you allowed bargaining, discounting, or negotiation of who you are? Contracts are negotiable, my friends. Who you are is not. Okay, all sounds great, but now how do you do this when you are tested? When you're feeling triggered, because people, the dears, they will test you. That I can guarantee. So I've developed 2 tools to help you make sure that respect always flows to you instead of you chasing after it. The first one refers to a stone I wear every single day, jade. It's an acronym. I say, never jade. Never justify, argue, defend, or explain. Because when you justify, argue, defend, or explain, you are putting your identity and therefore people's respect for you up for negotiation. Never jade. The second tool I call SOS. Stop, observe, speak. So when you're feeling tested, first thing you do is you stop. Because what happens is, in that moment, your amygdala, the brain's threat center, goes into high alert. Warning, warning. And what happens there is your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, goes offline. So you stop. You pause. You breathe. Just a couple seconds is all it takes to start to calm your nervous system, shut down that emotional reflex, and bring your thinking brain back online. And by the way, topic for another whole talk, but that also shifts the power dynamic. O stands for observe. You observe the situation as if you are a third party. You put an invisible shield down around you. Just imagine it's coming down around you. It's like Teflon. And then you observe, don't absorb. You respond, don't react. This is how you gain leverage. SOS. The second S stands for speak. So now you speak, but you speak briefly with boundaries. Boundaries and brevity are key here. Have a few short power phrases at the ready. Phrases like, this approach is not working for me. Or, we can continue this conversation when we can both be respectful. Thank you. Or, no matter what they say, they could say, you know what, you are a total loser. You say, I hear ya. Or you just get curious instead of angry. You just say, that's an interesting perspective. Then you end the conversation. Leaky boundaries means you're leaking power. Respect increases after boundaries, not before. Listen, some people are never going to give you the level of respect that you deserve because they have no respect for themselves. The way people treat you is a direct reflection of the way they feel about themselves. Stop trying to make not your people your people. Some people are not your people. They're never going to be your people, and that's okay. That's why boundaries are essential. Defend your light with your life. You are not meant to chase the light. You are the light. Stars don't search for permission to shine. They don't negotiate their brightness or dim themselves because the night grows dark or try to make the sky feel more comfortable. They shine because that's who they are. I shine. And so do you. The paradox of respect is that the more you chase it, the less of it you'll have. What you chase, you'll never catch. The moment you decide who you are, respect follows. So, in the words of my father, decide who you are, and people will believe you. Make it non-negotiable, and they will respect you. Thank you.